This is a page from the CODESYS help that shows some of the tags used for formatting data in a visualization, specifically integers and floating point numbers. The documentation is a little bit confusing, so I wanted to go over how that documentation works. So if we look at integers, there's some flags using a D, and there's different things you can do to show the number of leading zeros or trailing zeros or total digits displayed, and rather showing the sign plus or minus. And then for floating point numbers, similar, the number of digits before the decimal and after the decimal, leading and trailing zeros, and showing a sign. So let's get into that. So here I have a visualization, just some simple, I have boxes with variable displays, and I have some up and down buttons. So when I press the up button, it should increment upward, and when I press the down button, it should increment downward. And above each of the boxes, I have displayed the actual code that's running inside that variable box. So this first row is looking at integer values. They're all at 0. So this box just shows a raw integer. There's no formatting going on. This one I've formatted. The plus I means it'll show the sign regardless of whether it's a positive or a negative number. And just to give an example, here I have 0 for I. So 0 means that there's always displayed zeros to fill the display. And then the 4 designates the number of digits that are displayed in the box. So if I increment up, you can see it counts 1, 2, 3, as one would expect. This box is going to show the sign. This box won't, because we don't have anything to indicate that the sign should be shown. And if I count down, I'll show you with a negative number. So now you see the negative sign. The negative sign is always displayed when it's a negative number. We can see this box here, it has a negative 002. We designate that we want to see 4 digits, and including leading zeros. But for whatever reason, the negative sign is taking up the place of one of the digits. I believe that may be a bug in CODESYS. Similar with the floating point numbers, we have this one. There's no formatting. It's just the floating point number. So this box, we're going to see the normal floating point decimal without any additional formatting as far as trailing zeros, leading zeros, or sign. But we have a minimum display of 1 digit with a minimum of one decimal point, or exactly 1 decimal point, one digit after the decimal point. In this box, we're seeing the same thing with the addition of, we're going to see the sign, whether it's positive or negative. And because the number is 0 right now, there's no sign to be displayed. In this box, we have the 0 here indicates we want to see any leading or trailing zeros, even if they are 0. So here, there's nothing before the 0. So that's not displayed. But in these two boxes, we're seeing 2 zeros before the decimal point, because we specify the leading 0, the same as we have here in the integer box. We say we want to see a leading 0. So 0 before your decimal point in this variable indicates we're going to show leading zeros. And then the 5 means we want to see 5 places. So the decimal point represents 1 digit. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the 2 after the period designates we want to see 2 decimal places. And then this box is the same as the previous box. The only difference is that we have the addition of the plus, means that we're going to show the sign. So if we come over here and increment it, we incremented by 100th. And so you can see in the raw data box here, we increment by 100. In these two boxes, we're only seeing 1 decimal place. There's no rounding applied because it's not rounding up to the nearest tenth. But then in these where we're showing 2 decimal places, we can see that it has incremented. So if we go up to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, So now we're rounding up to 1 in the boxes that have a single digit after the decimal place. If I go back down, we'll see at 5, we're still rounding up. At 4, now these boxes that have just a single decimal point in the display are reading 0 when the actual value is 0.04. And just to show you what happens when we go to a negative number, so now all of the boxes show a negative regardless of if we have the sign indicated. It's always showing the sign. And just like with the integers, in these boxes, we indicate that we want 5 digits, and the sign is taking the place of 1 digit. So 1, 2, the decimal point is 3, 4, 5 places. So again, I'm not sure if that's a bug or if that's something intentional, but the sign represents 1 digit and the decimal point represents 1 digit. Then just to show that you can do other things, these boxes have a string variable, and this is just the raw string variable. This one I have the word number appearing before the string. So when I press the text button, it's going to cycle 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and the raw string variable just showing the string value. But here where I have the word number preceding the string variable, it's actually showing number 3, number 1, number 2. So this box I have formatted to demonstrate something that I discovered when setting up for this demonstration. So I've got this box formatted to show leading 0 with 15 digits and 14 of the digits being after the decimal place. So similar to this box here, we have a leading 0, 5 total digits, 2 after the decimal place. I just wanted to show more resolution. So this is a L real, a long real floating point number, and I'm adding 1/10, 0.1 every time I press the up button. And there's something interesting that happens with the math and the way that CODESYS is handling the conversion from a binary to a floating point number. So if I increment by 1, I get the 0.1, but then way out at like these 8 or 9 decimal places, there's some garbage. So if I go up to 2, 3, I've still got these kind of these bogus numbers that I didn't really expect. At 5, it's an even 5.00000000. So maybe I think it worked itself out. Nope, go up to 6, and now I've got some garbage in those, the 7 or 8 digits out behind the decimal place. So if I count up several times, now when I count back down, if I try to land on exactly 0, it's not going to reach 0. So I'm 0.09999999, and that should be rounded up to 0.1. And if I go down one more, now I should be at 0, but I'm at 0.00000. And I've got some stray numbers in that field. So if you want to know why, check my other video. I'll be posting that in a couple of days, explaining why this happens. And hopefully this demonstration will save you some time having to experiment to understand how to format variables in a text dialog box on a visualization.